In this video, we're going to talk about several different types of angles. So the first pair of angles we're going to talk about are vertical angles. So in this first picture, you'll see an example of vertical angles. So vertical angles are formed whenever you have two intersecting lines, and vertical angles will always be congruent to each other. So they're formed whenever you have like an X. So I always tell people look for an X shape, and that's your vertical angles. Um, and they're always equal to each other. So to solve for x in this first example, what we can do is we can set these equal to each other. So we'd have x plus 16 equals 4x minus 5. And then we just solve for x. So we'll go ahead and we'll subtract x from both sides. Let's add the 5. So we end up with 21 equals 3x, divide by 3, and we get 7 equals x. So that's the first step. So vertical angles, you're always looking for an x. It's the angles across from each other. The next key idea here is called the angle addition postulate. We also have something called the segment addition postulate, segment subtraction postulate, and angle subtraction postulate. So basically what this addition postulate says is that you can add two parts together, and that's going to equal the whole thing. So part plus part is equal to the whole angle. If we look at subtraction, it just means that if you take the whole thing and you subtract off a part, you're going to be left with another part. So that's kind of the idea here. So this here says given, so this should just say the measure angle ABC is 118. So ABC is this entire angle, that's 118. The relationship to be able to solve for x is going to be that this part plus this part is going to equal the entire angle. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to set this up as part, so 3x plus 1 plus the other part of the angle, 4x minus 3, is equal to 118. And then from there, we can go ahead and combine like terms and then solve. So 3x plus 4x gives me 7x. 1 minus 3 gives me negative 2 equals 118. Bring that 2 over, so add it to both sides, you get 120. Divide by 7, and this one's just going to come out to be a decimal, so I'm going to just leave it as a fraction. So 120 over 7 is how I'm going to leave it. So remember, if it were subtraction, that would just mean that you would be taking 118 minusing a part, and that would be equal to the other part. You could do that, and you would get the same equation, same answer in the end. It's just a different way of setting it up. The next type of pair of angles that we have are linear pairs. So linear pair, the key word here is that you have line for linear, so it's angles that form a straight line, and they are supplementary. So supplementary means that they add to 180. So basically, this is angles that form a straight line are going to add to 180. So when I look at this, these two angles, when you piece them together, they form this straight line, so there's 180 degrees between both of them. So your equation would be 4x plus 20 plus the other part would have to equal the 180. Again, combine like terms, so 5x plus 10 equals 180. Subtract the 10, so you get 5x equals 170. Divide by 5, and we get x equals 34. The next type of angles are called consecutive angles on a straight line. So basically, these are pretty much the same thing. The difference is consecutive angles, you have multiple angles, versus this is saying a pair of angles. So that means two angles versus any number of angles. So this is also known as angles that form a straight line. Straight line, add to 180. So you might word it like that. I often use that as my wording for it. So basically, all of these angles pieced together have to add up to 180. So 45 plus 39 plus b plus 24 equals 180. We combine our like terms. So 45 plus 39 plus 24, I get 108 plus b equals 180. And then from there, subtract the 108 from both sides. So we get b equals 72. And then for the last one here, well, now what happens if you have angles that go around a point? So basically, all of these angles share a common vertex at a point, and together, if you look, they form 360 degrees. They form a circle. So they would add up to 360. So angles around a point is what we call those. Those are always going to add to 360. So we have 105 plus 95 plus 60 plus A equals 360. Combine your like terms here. You get 260 plus A equals 360. Subtract 260 from both sides and you get A equals 100. So those are your different scenarios for different types of pairs of angles or multiple angles that are forming a straight line or around a point. So those are going to be your most common angles that you're going to run into. And then just keep in mind that with the addition postulate, we also have subtraction. So subtraction just means that you're taking the whole piece, you're subtracting off the part. But in the end, it really is the same thing as addition. You're just rewriting it. So now go ahead and do the practice problem. So write your key ideas down and then do your check your understanding problems. And make sure when you're doing those that you're thinking about these key ideas and that you're including these in your reasoning while you're doing the problems, because that's going to be really important to be able to explain your work as you're solving these problems.